Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. It's been a while. In this video, I'm going to go through the things and notes that I've gathered on clothing, specifically drawing clothing, not so much rendering it, and I hope you'll be able to get something out of this. And yeah, I don't want to talk too much in the beginning. Stay till the end to see how I apply this information. I'm gonna try to keep it as short and brief as possible. So let's begin. So the first thing to understand, at least from what I gathered, to understand about clothing is tension points. Tension points are the points in which a piece of clothing pulls, stretches, and compresses. So the tension point is where everything leads to. So if you have a point like this and this, that's where everything is leading to. And another thing about clothing is mirroring. When you're drawing, let's say, take this sheet of clothing, for example, the top and the bottom look basically the same. Same as the sides, although the sides would depend on how much clothing is on each side, but everything has a sense of rhythm or flow in which, to make it make sense. So it pulling is pulling out like this, and then there's stretching, which is pulling but much more, and then there's compressing like this, where it comes closer together. So another thing, now applying to clothing itself, is the types of clothing will have different amounts of folds depending on what kind of material it is, how much tension is on that material, what object is holding that material. The kind of body type someone has will decide how much stretch the object has. If you're putting a cloth on top of a box versus a sphere, things like those will have an effect on it. But the objective of all this is to just make sure it makes sense with the lines you use, and that's where CSI comes in. So CSI is basically C curves, S curves, and straights, which is I. So you find this in a lot of pieces of clothing. If you look here, this is what it could be a more leatherish material for the skirt. So it's more stiff, it has less curves. So you'll see more of the I types of lines compared to C and S. And then with here, we have something we call the T line. The T line is basically where a sort of intersection of lines will happen. So you have something like this, you have something like this. All those are lines in which the tension gathers to form the letter T, and that can help with more believability of the object or subject that you're trying to draw. Same thing here, you have a letter T over there, you have a letter T over there. All these T lines help with giving a certain sense of direction in regards to how believable the subject that you're trying to draw is, the piece of clothing that you're trying to draw. And I do believe that it is it's not simple, but it's easy to understand. But the complication comes with application, because that's all the notes I've gathered. I didn't want this to be an extremely long video, and I want to show examples on how I applied this information. But a few things that I will say beforehand is patience is key when it comes to studying clothing, and another thing is breaking things down into basic shapes can help you better understand the kind of clothing that you're doing. So instead of going directly into folds, you have to have a general understanding of what makes up the larger part of this cloth or piece of clothing that you are drawing. And yeah, those are all the notes that I've gathered so far. And don't stop here. There's so many YouTubers that have made videos, some of which I watched to be able to gather notes like these, and they're all much more experienced. This is just, as I said in the last video, this is just like my public art channel, so I'm just sharing the things that I have learned. So without further ado, I think we can now move on to the time lapses, and then I'll come back at the end to tips and pointers, a few announcements and changes, and that'll be it. So I hope you learned something from this and enjoy the application. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. It has taken a while to come out for a myriad of reasons. One of my favorite artists, Robot Pencil, says art is easy, life is hard, so life kind of interfered. But anyway, in regards to this channel, I plan to be more consistent with posting, but I also want to give myself to be more relaxed in regards to the content that I do. I don't want it to be too perfect, so to speak. This was not perfect by any means, but I don't want it to be overly perfect. I want it to have a sense of naturality in the way that I present the things I'm presenting. And again, I'm still learning. Each and everything that I present to you guys is something that I'm actively still learning how to do. And so I do not know what the next video might be. I think I might pick an artist to study. So you can leave suggestions of which one. My pick is Lowish, personally. I feel like it will be easier to do so. And in terms of announcements, number one, changing the way this channel works so that I can be able to get more consistent uploads and try to maintain some sort of quality while doing so. So maybe weekly or bi-monthly videos. And secondly, I am opening a store on Gumroad. A lot of people have expressed the desire to want the landscapes that I draw every week. It's just a learning thing. I'm still not as good, but some people still would want to know where to buy them. So I want to set up a Gumroad store or any other kind of store to be able to sell those for those who want them as digital prints. I do not think I'll be able to do physical prints yet. And then also, for those of you who didn't know, I also have a Patreon. It's not active because there's no members yet, but I hope to make it relatively active, and those who do join the Patreon will get discounts and stuff like that. Still trying to figure it out. I'll make an official Patreon announcement probably in the next video. So I have talked too much, but I am very glad to be back to doing this after 2.5-ish weeks, and I hope to be much more consistent. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe, and also follow on Instagram. And last thing, thank you guys so much for over 1,000 followers on Instagram. It took me by surprise because merely a week and a half ago, I was at around 700 followers, and now we've exceeded 1,300, which is quite massive. It's a big thing for me. I thought 1K would be the goal for the end of the year, but well, it's come closer, and I'm happy for that, and I'm grateful. So yeah, comment any questions or anything that I didn't touch on that you feel I should have. I'm also learning, so if there are any tips you guys can share, I'll be happy to know. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, goodbye, and see you next time.